Welcome to Leaders in the Arena. My name is Jenny Whitener with Bridge Innovate, and it is our pleasure to welcome you today to our program. As we move on to the next slide, you can see that today's program is a part of our Leaders in the Arena webinar series, where we have the opportunity to speak with leading experts around the industry to learn about innovation, change, and all the great things to do with strategy and running businesses today. Bridge Innovate empowers teams to lead, think, and problem solve differently. We've been in the business now for over 20 years, and we're excited to be launching a new capability this year called Future Lab. And we'll be hearing a little bit about that today with our guest speaker that we're going to be introducing in just a moment. Continue on, Holly, and let's get people engaged. Yeah, so our Future Lab design sprint option that we're launching in 2025 gives our customers an opportunity to go through the design sprint process with several different options. You can go through a design sprint to look at future trends. You can go through a design sprint to enable a solution design, maybe a customer experience redesign, or maybe you're looking at an operational solution or a strategy. Regardless, we bring teams of people together, put them into a sprint structure, and then enable that sprint structure with generative AI. So thrilled to welcome all of you here today to this special program where we have an opportunity to talk with one of our consultants, Adam Walcott. So Adam is going to be talking with us today about how acceleration happens with AI in the design process. We're excited to have Adam with us. He brings a wealth of experience. He's also, in addition to serving as a big business consultant with Bridge Innovate, he is a professor with the University of Tennessee, Chattanooga, teaching in the design and innovation field, as well as entrepreneurial business and nonprofit strategy work. So we're really excited to have Adam with us today. He has a huge track record of success personally as an entrepreneur, as well as a consultant and professor in our community. So welcome, Adam. Would you like to share anything else with the audience today about your background?
No, Jenny, thank you very much for the intro. I'm looking forward to helping along this conversation with AI and how we've used it in the past in the classroom and in corporate to accelerate design.
Great. Thanks, Adam, and thanks so much for being with us today. If you're joining us as a participant today, feel free to use the chat to engage with each other and to introduce yourself as a member of today's program, and to be thinking of questions that we can share with Adam a bit later in the program. We'll be watching the chat along the way. Adam, let's just start at the beginning. Can you talk a little bit about what does AI-enabled design look like?
Yeah, certainly. I love to think about AI-enabled design as really having like this super smart assistant with us that works alongside us, helping us come up with ideas, optimizing them. There's this speed factor through the entire design process. We were chatting yesterday with a colleague of ours about how they position and think about AI and specifically ChatGPT. And it's like having an intern that you've got to fact check. And I really like that. And that's stuck with me since our conversation. But when we're thinking about AI-enabled design and specifically what it looks like, I like to think about AI as a brainstorming partner. So as a user, we provide the inputs, like what's our goals? What are the constraints? Do we have a rough idea? And we rely on the technology to come back with a range of solutions and suggestions. And what we're really hoping for is really hoping that it brings back some things that we hadn't considered on our own. We think about creativity. We also think about like how AI might replace creativity. And I don't see it that way at all. In none of my experiences in using AI in the design process have I ever felt like AI could replace an entire area. I've seen it give teams boosts, and that's one of the areas that I really like to focus in is how can we really help teams be more effective in the entire design process. So thinking about this, like AI doesn't get tired or stuck in one way of thinking. We can do that. AI can churn out hundreds of ideas in the time that it might take you and I to come up with one or two ideas. And these are all examples of what this AI-enabled design looks like and how that works to help accelerate the process. One last point on this. I think it's important to recognize also that this doesn't just stop with the launch, right? Using AI can help us gather and synthesize customer information and feedback. It can help us tweak our designs, whether it's a new product or a new service design, or a change in something along the organization. And it really helps us stay relevant and effective. So when I think about what AI-enabled design looks like, I think about it as a partnership, and I think about it as something that really helps boost my team, and enhances our creativity.
hmm You've been running AI-enabled design sprints for some time, so you really have a big track record on this. And I know that when we came together as a consultancy and said we wanted to bring this to our clients, you and along with Luke Plating, one of our other consultants, have really been the thought leaders behind bringing AI-enabled design to life at Bridge. So I want to first thank you for that. And then also really excited, I know in the pre-work that we've done to bring this to life in 2025 for Bridge, it's been amazing. I agree with you 100%. I'm the girl with the gray hair that says, hey, how does this really work? And when I used it to generate new ideas, or when I looked at it, and queried for additional insights or research, I was just blown away at how fast information would come back from Chat GPT, or Claude or whatever platform you're using. So talk to us more about why speed matters. I found it delightful, right, when you were getting me engaged in it. But why does it matter for people today when they're looking at solution design?
Yeah, I have to say that it was fun as we were going through that to see the number of ideas that were popping up on your screen, and as you were feverishly writing those on the white paper, that was really good. But speed's not just nice to have. So whether we're thinking about organizational design or just staying relative in the market, it's essential. Everything is moving so fast. The world is so small because of technology that if we're slow in anything that we do, someone else is going to beat us to the punch. And I think AI is that technology that we could leverage at this point to help us stay relevant, or even help us stay in front of the people who are maybe a couple of steps behind in really engaging and embracing the use of AI. Our customers expect things almost immediately, right? Like if they want a new app, or if they want a new product, or the service needs to change, if we're not quick to respond to the market, we're most likely going to lose out to someone who is responsive to the market. And with AI, that allows us to really refine our ideas, to test them so much faster. We don't have to spend weeks or months anymore kind of prototyping and tweaking. We can use AI to simulate a lot of this. So this is again, a little deeper than just prompting or asking it questions, which I believe that everybody should be doing, right? Like, I think that at the base level, everybody should be engaging AI at some point. And but we can get a lot deeper. Like we can use this to help simulate outcomes for us. We can get ahead of potential problems and identify those before they even surface. And I think that that's really, really important to organizational efficiency and effectiveness. But just staying relevant among our competitors. Speed is so important in the design process today. And anything that we can do to help accelerate that, I think, is going to be a win.
I agree. I mean, 100%. And, a lot of times when we get our clients come to us with a group of leaders who want to look at a new design or a new solution, one of the challenges that they often have is coming up with new ideas. And it's because they may have been in the arena that they're in for years. They have patterns. They have assumptions. They have ways of evaluating their own market. It's hard to break those patterns. And when you can easily tap something like generative AI to open up new frontiers of perspectives just with a couple of taps on the keyboard, right? Just it begins to bring in new thinking to the team. They're still in charge of making the final decision, right? The humans are still leading the process. But I really love how quickly it just brings new perspective in, whether it's on the research, analytic front with insights, if it's on the creative brainstorming part, or what I found really surprising was how quickly it created a storyboard for me around a prototype for a new solution that we were experimenting with. So I love the fact that in every stage of the process, it brings you speed. Talk about
Agreed.
how you're using AI to solve really complex or big problems. Like how is it, how does it factor in there?
Yeah. So when it comes to tackling big problems, again, I think of AI as being this problem-solving machine on our team, right? The person at the table who is willing to jump in with both feet and get messy and sort through complicated data sets and challenges, and help us at least move into a direction of a potential solution, and doing that quicker than we ever could on our own. Going through thousands of lines of customer feedback. I mean, it's going to take our team days, if not weeks, to do that. And this is something that we can generate themes around and generate understandings in the matter of minutes. So solving big problems, I think it helps break those big problems down into smaller, more manageable things for our team. When we're working on something complex, let's just say that we're trying to create a sustainable product. Maybe that's one of the challenges that we're looking at. AI can help us break this down into small and meaningful steps to be able to challenge that larger problem. It's great at spotting patterns and trends, things that you and I might miss in data sets, in observations, in interviews, in just customer behavior in general. AI is great at analyzing these huge amounts of data very quickly and doing it pretty effectively. This can lead us to some insights that we would have never come up on our own. And that's the competitive edge. And that's how we can really help solve some of these larger problems, whether they're in our organization or they're in a new product or new service delivery. I do want to say one other thing about this. When we're talking about big problems, like that seems to be a very reactive approach. Like there's a problem that came up and now we need to like really understand what happened. But moving even farther along the road is like, how might we be able to use AI to help us identify problems before they even exist? Can we run scenarios based on market trends, movements, customer data, employee feedback, and sentiment to show us where there might be some roadblocks? That's really an interesting way that we can use this. Yes, we can use it to solve problems that kind of hit us, but we could also use it as a way to be proactive. And I really believe as this technology continues to evolve, that idea of being proactive and looking for those roadblocks before we get there is going to be an incredible thing for our organizations.
Sort of anticipation.
Yeah, the anticipation of the problems.
Right. Almost the explorer side of things, sort of discovering the frontier that we may not yet know about, or at least it's not obvious on our own perspective. One of our guests today, Adam, is if they're participating in the chat, Mary Axelson, has made a comment. I just wanted to read it to you here and pose a question because I think it's very good. She said, research is saying a combination of AI and human elevates the creativity. And she really calls out how she likes how you're being clear on goals plus outcomes, how that feeds into your AI questions and research specific to help you. So it's really important that you learn how to do this well in terms of querying generative AI. And she wanted you to talk a little bit about that and then maybe the importance of privacy and how you deal with that when you're using AI. I don't know if you're ready to go there, but a couple of questions that the audience is bringing in.
Yeah, Mary, thank you for the questions. The prompting. So your first question is, so much of this is about how we prompt, and Jenny and I have had a lot of conversations around this. Is like it's garbage in, garbage out type situation. So the better that we can be at guiding what our outcomes are, what our constraints are, what our goals are, and really positioning the AI tool, because that's what it is, right? It's a tool to some output that we want, the better we're going to be. So it is this combination of using what AI is really good at and using what we're really good at. And I'm going to touch on that here in just a little while, a little deeper. The second part of your question is really, I think it's a really good question, and it's something that I don't have a direct answer for. Me personally, as I'm going through whether I'm using AI as a tool to help me be more creative in what I'm doing or inspire different ways of thinking from an organizational perspective, I've taken a pretty conservative approach to this. And this is not necessarily my personality, but just as things are evolving, I mean, AI really hit like mainstream AI. So thinking about like ChatGPT, right? Fall of last year. So we're a little over a year into like this, and I'm just not really comfortable at what's going. Do I think anything is going to come bad out of it? No, but I would rather take the conservative approach on providing certain PII information in there. So I make everything pretty generic, talking about challenges in a specific industry versus giving a specific company's name, data that I might need it to. So I've used it to analyze some financial data. And what I've done is, cleared out some header lines and things like that, just not to allow that information to be published, or not published, but consumed, I guess, for whatever might come in the future.
And Adam, I know a lot of times when we're launching our future labs, especially for a client specific, we invite them to bring the AI platform that's approved by their corporation. So some folks have already worked through that, and I know that one of our clients, Shaw, has Shaw AI, right? So they're using their own cloud-based versions that allow them to maintain the privacy levels that are, authorized by their company. So let's continue on, and I'll just continue to invite our audience to bring in questions. We appreciate that so much. You talked about how AI is helping us solve big problems. Talk about these tips that you're kind of leading into this a little bit about how humans and AI need to collaborate for it to be really effective.
Yeah, I think the real magic happens here when humans and AI work together. So there's this idea of let AI handle like the heavy lifting, and allow us as humans to bring in the creativity, the intuition, the emotional intelligence, the things that we're really good at, right? Not many of us are really good at pouring through a bunch of data and in gathering themes and understanding that. But what we are really good at is bringing that human approach. So I think that's where the real magic happens, is when the technology and the humans come alongside of each other. And by the way, it sounds very weird to start to say that when the technology and the humans come alongside each other, right? So when we're thinking about that is AI is great, like I said, of crunching numbers, but it just doesn't have that sense of emotion that we really need. And when we're thinking about design, and specifically within Bridge, when we're thinking about like human-centered design and how important that is, we've got to be at the center of this, and we've got to be driving this. An analogy that I like to use, and I have a couple of these, but I like this one, and maybe it's because it's lunchtime and I'm hungry, but like, think about the relationship between like a chef and a sous chef, right? So AI is the sous chef, right? AI does all the prep work. It does the chopping, the measuring, the organizing, gets all of the ingredients together. But humans are the chef, right? Like, we're the ones who get to focus in on creating that amazing dish of all of the parts that are out there. So if we think about it as that perspective, is we both have our roles. And the outcome is so much better when we stay in our lanes, when we understand how we can work collaboratively towards a goal. We're still in control. Jenny mentioned this earlier. Like, AI is a tool; it's not the boss. We guide the process, we develop the prompts, and we decide whether or not we want to trust the outcomes. I think that's a big piece of this. The simple uses of AI is, going to ChatGPT and saying, "Help me rewrite this email," right? That's almost standard right now. The idea of digging deeper into that and helping guide those prompts, asking, giving constraints, that's where the real value comes in. And this is where organizations can really help accelerate the processes that they're going through. And one last point on this, Jenny, is that just like any good relationship, it takes time to build trust. When I first started using a variety of different AI tools for things, I didn't trust them. I wasn't sure what was going on. I didn't feel great about the outcomes. But as I invested in time, and as I became more and more comfortable and better at prompting and digging deeper, the relationship started to build some trust. And yeah, I do believe that it's a relationship. So the more you work with AI, the more you'll understand its strengths, and the more you'll understand its weaknesses. Like, we've had arguments before. I don't buy what you're telling me. Like, give me cite this for me. Where did you get this information from? And oh, wait a second, I didn't quite get that from anywhere. I just kind of told you what you wanted to hear. But it's a relationship, and it takes time to build trust. And the more we can use it, and the better we can be at things like prompting and understanding and guiding, right, the better this human and AI collaboration is going to be.
Right. I love that. And you've taught me so much as we've launched this new offer with Bridge about how to really engage with AI, and then, dig deeper, ask questions, ask the AI tool to validate their documentation or their suggestions, whatever, the sources, all the things that you're saying. We would do that with a colleague, right? If a colleague came to us with a recommendation or whatever, we would do the same thing. Like, well, give me, where did you get the data from? Give me your sources, whatever. There may be some things that we would naturally do. We have to continue those patterns. I also like what you guys have done for us here at Bridge, you and Luke pulling together this AI onboarding. Like if a team is not familiar with how to use generative AI to supplement their work in design sprints, and how do we get them on board and ready to go? And so I think this new onboarding that you all have developed for Bridge and its clients, so that people can be ready, right? So if you're not comfortable with it, don't worry, we'll get you there, right? And so I think that whole human AI collaboration, it is a journey, it is a relationship, and you have to start at that beginning point. Talk more about, Adam, some breaking down barriers to innovation and how this AI tool may help or support that process.
Yeah. So when we think about innovation in the past, thinking about companies like Kodak and Starbucks and even Marriott, right? Some of the leaders in innovation, 10, 15, 20 years ago. These are organizations with big budgets, right? Like not even big budgets, but massive budgets, R&D teams. What I think AI is getting ready to do is to begin to level that playing field for smaller companies, for organizations that can be more agile, who don't have that R&D budget, who don't have the deep resources that some of the larger organizations or corporations do. So I think from the perspective, I think there's going to be a leveling that's going to happen here around innovation, which innovation is great for society in general. So I'm super excited to see where this lands over the next 5 or 10 years, right? Anytime we can accelerate innovation, it's going to hopefully make things better. But as we're thinking about that, there's a cost involved in prototyping, in innovation, and it's usually one of the biggest barriers. And it doesn't matter if we're a startup, mid-sized company, or a large organization, costs are always part of the conversation. And AI can help us really simulate a lot of that work, build prototypes a little bit easier, interact, and create those opportunities for learning much earlier in the process than they have in the past. And this is going to help us kind of moving away from like the comparison of like big companies versus small companies and leveling that playing field. But I'm thinking about within any organization, the quicker that we can get out and we can create action, which creates learning using AI, the better off we're going to be. It's much more affordable, and we can get organizations to start to digest changes a little bit easier because we're not so focused in on the cost, but we can focus in on the benefit. I think another challenge is just access to expertise. So not every team and every organization has the people and the resources that are needed to provide the types of insights that really fuel innovation. Now we don't have to be an expert in all of those areas. Even today, and as this technology continues to evolve, we have access to an AI type expertise in these areas. So if we're moving into a new industry, or if we're looking to do something different with a product or a service that we have a resource here to be able to help us. And this is, again, one of those big barriers. And the last point that I want to leave here, and I think that this is applicable to everybody, when we're thinking about these barriers to innovation, one of the biggest barriers to innovation and creativity and really just moving in any direction is fear. People are scared, right? And if we're all honest with ourselves, like we have some level of fear that holds us back at something in our life, right? Trying out for a sports team, interviewing for a job, or more importantly, from a business perspective, trying new and innovative things at work. We're scared. What if it doesn't work out? What if I lose my reputation? What about the political capital that I've gathered? But with AI, it makes this process of innovation quicker and cheaper. We can try new things with very low, if any, costs to that failure. So what I think is really going to happen is AI is going to help us feel more confident in things like experimenting and taking risks and pushing boundaries within our organizations. And it's going to be exciting, again, to watch where that takes us. Because no longer is it about creating a pitch and sitting down with the big decision makers and going through this whole process to get, the couple of dollars that you need to build the first prototype. You can get so far down the line and you can test things and you can get, it's not about assumptions anymore. It's, you have some clear direction. And when you sit down with people with that type of data, you've got a lot of fuel, you've got a lot of power behind your idea, and that's going to drive innovation.
Right. Absolutely. Great insights here coming in. One of our sister company in London, Treehouse Innovation, they're also running future labs, and they're really going at it at a large scale. They're working with different sectors like the legal sector to imagine the next iteration of legal services for our communities, for our world. And they're actually using AI to generate early scale prototypes, and then they call it having a kill party, right? So they're bringing the humans in to say, which of these future prototypes would you think would be something you'd want to pursue or explore? Which ones would you put in the maybe later stack? And which ones would you say, no, never, we're not going in that direction? So I love the fact that it becomes like unlimited, the ways in which you can use AI to break down these barriers or to accelerate innovation across the innovation process. We've got some additional questions coming in from the audience, and I just want to make sure we take some time. If you're good with that, Adam, we're going to talk a little bit about that. One question coming in from Mary was going beyond Chat GPT and Claude AI. What are some of your favorite AI tools?
There's so many AI tools, and I think it really depends on what it is that you're trying to do. But let me give you a couple, just kind of off the top of my head that I use. So I use ChatGPT as it's my friend during the day. Talk to ChatGPT all the time. Inspiration, ideas, whatever. That's good. And I'm always nice because if the robots do decide to take over, at least the transcripts of me talking to it will be. So when I'm thinking about things like business productivity, one tool that I've been using is an AI called Notion AI. And it helps enhance note taking and brainstorming. So, recording of conversations, emails, all of this can kind of be uploaded and we can start to generate some themes and some brainstorming out of it. Zapier is another one. We've been experimenting with this to help automate workflows. Use this, Jenny. We've used this with some clients, and it's been a really great way to leverage AI to help automate workflow between apps. That's been good. Grammarly has hit the ground running, right? Like Grammarly is kind of this early stage of, generative AI is simply a prediction of what's coming next. And Grammarly was really good at that. They've hit the accelerator here. So from a business productivity perspective, I think that's really important. I'm just looking through a list of what I have here. I have used Canva a lot lately in their integrations with ChatGPT. They have a great integration with ChatGPT, and I've played around with it. I guess it's been really an interesting one to use. Dolly for image creation has been good. Use that a lot for prototyping.
Absolutely. So many different applications, technology applications we use every day have now merged generative AI into their capability. And so it's like becoming just part of how we work every day. Jillian Constable has another question coming in. It says, for small companies who are just starting to get their feet wet in the world of AI, do you have any recommendations of where to start software, specifically, for communication, data analysis, or project management?
So my first response would be, it would be important for your organization, your team to sit down and understand what they want to get out of AI. So to start to identify, is this going to be just to help us communicate better, or are we going to use it to, predict future opportunities? So, Jillian, my first suggestion would be to sit down and to talk about with your team during a session, what is it that we want to get out of AI, and maybe you even start that conversation with some general understanding of what is generative AI really, what is it, and what does it do, and brainstorm around that idea a little bit with your team. What does our organization want to get out of it? And I feel like once you get to the idea, say that these are the things that we want to get out of it. We want it to help us enhance our ability to understand our customer. Then we can go out and we can look at, what are the plugins, like what is the right AI tool to help us understand that? So that's where I would start, is understanding what the needs are for the organization, what you want to get out of it. And I think that will that will definitely drive you to the right AI enabled tools for your organization.
And I know a lot of times, Adam, in our own organization, we started this over a year ago, building our perspective on Future Lab with using generative AI. We just had in our staff meetings, just our regular roundtables, everybody pull up Chat GPT and be curious. Ask a question, get familiar with it. So there's some other parts of just experimenting as you're beginning to ask those very thoughtful questions and getting started. So Adam, I know that we could go on and on today about generative AI and future labs here at Bridge Innovate, but we're at time. So I wanted to thank you so much for joining us today. Thank our listeners for dialing in to Leaders in the Arenas, where we explore these valuable insights coming in from leaders who are actually in the field. Our next episode is coming up on January the 30th, featuring Glenda Hicks, who'll be talking about making a difference in the social sector with the power of nonprofit boards. So I hope if that interests you, you'll join us. And if at any time you would like to talk more about some of our episodes or Future Lab in general on generative AI, just reach out to us at hello@bridgeinnovate.com. We'd love to jump on a call with you. Good luck to you and your rest of your day, everyone. Hope it's wonderful. Thanks, Adam, for joining us.
Thanks, Jenny.
Okay, bye.
Bye.